John Lusk here of Lusk Archery Adventures, and I came up here to Humboldt, Iowa from Des Moines. It's about maybe an hour and a half drive from where I live in Des Moines to Thresher X Archery. It's a new shop they just opened in December. It's a really cool shop. You know, one of these nice small town shops with the nicest owner you could ever imagine. Ross in here is so helpful. It's the kind of place you just love to hang out because the people are so cool. And I came up here last spring for like a seminar that they were having, and I first met the owner there. I met Ross and some of the other guys that work here and got to know the shop. And I saw that they carried XPEDITION bows. And I'd only read about XPEDITION, but I'd never really shot them, or actually I'd never even held them. So I was really intrigued by the XPEDITION lineup, and I heard they were going to be getting in one of the 2020 bows with an early release, like in late August, September. And they just got that in. So I drove back up here to test out actually all the XPEDITION bows. So let's go inside, check out the shop, and then check out these bows and see how they do in the test. Ross, what's happening, man?
Hi, John.
Hey, it's good to be up here at your shop again. I'm doing good. Man, things are looking nice. This shop is like the cleanest shop I've ever seen. I tease with Ross that in the back here at their range, I got a really cool range. It's the only range I've ever seen where there's no arrows stuck in the ceiling or the lights, no marks on the wall. So people up here in north central Iowa, man, they know how to shoot. None of them ever miss the target. They are really impressive. I'm excited to test these XPEDITION bows. Like I said a few minutes earlier, I've never shot the XPEDITIONs before, though I've read a lot about them. And I did some research on the company. The company's not new. You know, it's been around for quite a few years already. But originally, it was owned by someone else, and then was just recently acquired by four new guys, four partners who are all professional archers, avid bow hunters, and successful businessmen. They acquired it about a year ago. And so since they've acquired it, they're really putting some new passion and new planning behind it. And I'm pretty excited to see what they're going to come up with in the future. Their whole approach is very different. They consider their niche in the archery industry kind of like they're a micro brewery, so to speak, amongst the big beer distributors. So they're like the micro brewery of big archery companies. So there's the big box, or big brands that are out there, the 5 or 6 top ones. And then there's XPEDITION, and their goal is not just to be one of like those, but they really want to keep things at a more local level and a more connected level. And so what they've done is they've done some things like they don't sell to big box stores. They sell primarily to small towns throughout the country, to primarily mom and pop shops, individually owned shops. The vast majority are that way. And because they just want it to be connected to kind of the heart of America in these places. And they have this quality control about them because of their focus like that that's really exceptional. You call them up, and I have called them up to ask different questions and so forth. You're always going to get a real person who answers the phone and someone who knows about archery, okay? Not someone who's sitting in their living room that's just kind of taking messages, but someone that really knows about archery, and that's really helpful. They've been very patient with me as I asked a bunch of questions. And then in their quality control, they have this thing where they want it to go like straight from the bow manufacturer's hands into the shooter's hands. That's their goal. It's kind of like farm to table, in restaurants and so forth. They have somebody that's actually in their manufacturing that's built this bow and then is personally shooting and testing this bow before it ever leaves the shop, and then it goes straight into the consumer's hands. And then when you buy it in one of these mom and pop shops, like here at Thresher X Archery, they're going to take all the time to make sure you're set up really well and it's all tuned and on target and so forth, so you're very comfortable with your bow when you get it. So that's their quality control shtick, and their connectedness. They want to stay connected to the small mom and pop shops. And their cost too is different from a lot of other bow companies. They have their expensive ones, they're really top of the line ones, but then they have them that go down quite a bit as well in price. And it's nice to see just kind of the differences for different budgets. But also, since these four partners have acquired the company, Expedition, they've changed the way they design the bows. In the past, they had Kevin Strother designing their bows, as well as he was designing bows for Obsession Archery. And so Obsession and Expedition were really similar bows, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but they were really similar. And if you follow Kevin Strother, you know, he's kind of quite the controversial figure in many ways. But everybody, most people will not deny that he's a really smart and brilliant designer. He designed bows for Elite, he designed bows for Bowtech, he had his own Strother bows for a while, but now, since these new guys have acquired Expedition Archery, Kevin Strother is only working as the designer for Expedition Archery. So he's come out with some new things, and even in 2020, there's going to be a lot of new innovative things from what I hear, because he's just focused on this, and they're going to be unique to Expedition Archery. So 3 of the bows that I'm shooting today, the Mako, the Mountaineer, and the Thresher, were all ones that are exclusive to Expedition. Ones that he designed exclusively for Expedition. One in the lineup here, the Excursion HD7, was one that he did before, so that you have a similar comparable model in the Obsession lineup. But he's begun doing stuff just for Expedition, so some of these bows are pretty unique, and I think from what I hear, they're going to get even more unique and innovative as time goes by. The new release of these new bows is going to be in early November of 2020, and so I'm eager to see what they came out with. But these bows that are behind me here that I'm going to be testing today are pretty cool and pretty exciting, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with us. So all 4 of these are really interesting bows, and they're unique in their own way. First, the Mako right here. This is their speed bow. I mean, this is like their premium, top tier, flagship kind of a thing. I mean, with this bow, they're getting, it weighs like 3.9 pounds, which I know that's what's listed as the Hoyt RX3. It actually feels lighter than the RX3, and weighing it, it comes in right at 3.9 pounds is what everybody says, unlike some other bows. And it's really fast. The IBO on this, which in case you don't know, some people watching don't know, I don't mean to condescend to those who do, but IBO is set by the International Bowhunters Association, and that determines like a consistent way of measuring a bow's speed. And it's designed to measure it based on a 350 grain arrow shot out of a 70-pound bow with a 30-inch draw length. So that's not what this is, and that's not what I'm going to be shooting, but that's the consistent IBO speed through which you can compare all different bows. So the IBO for this is 364 feet per second. Dang, okay, that's really fast. And so I'm eager to see how harsh this is, what the actual speeds are. I'm going to be testing it at 60 pounds. All the bows are set up at 60 pounds and at 27 inches of draw. So 60 pounds, 27 inches of draw. We're not going to hit the IBO speeds, but we'll see how consistently they measure up to those IBO speeds. The ATA on this, the axle to axle, is from here to here, is 33 inches. The brace height is a tight 5 inches. That's how they're able to generate such speed there. So it's a 5-inch brace height, and because they want to be very fine-tuned, this is mod specific. So to change things, you got to go to a new mod like that, and that's not a bad thing. That means it's really dialed in for exactly what you want. All these I'm going to be shooting are going to be shooting with the Whisker Biscuit, so there's a consistent speed comparison to all of them. So that's the Mako X. And then next, we got the Mountaineer X. And the Mountaineer X, I want to note here the different colors. They make cool colors, right? They've done a good job. You can get your choice of limb colors as well as the riser colors, and they have quite a bit to choose from. I like this one. It's really similar to my own personal bow, my Bowtech. This is the Mountaineer X. The IBO on this one is 340. Okay, so it's quite a bit less than the Mako. I would expect it to be quite a bit smoother draw and a little bit more forgiving because it's got a full 7 inches of brace height. So 2 inches more brace height right there. So also you may note, if you look closely, this has a flexible cable guard, unlike the Mako X. So this actually does move and allows for a bit more forgiveness. The weight on this is exactly the same as the Mako. It's 3.9 pounds. The axle, it's slightly longer. It's 33 1/4 inches. And Unlike the Mako X, this one just has a rotating module, so you can just rotate it around. You can change the draw length and stuff. It adjusts from 26.5 inches out to 30 inches. I should have mentioned the Mako adjusts from 24.5 inches out to 30 inches. But again, that's with mod specific adjustments there. Okay, so that's the Mountaineer X, and then next is the Excursion 7. So the Excursion 7 HD. And they also make an Excursion 6, which has a 6-inch brace height, generates a little bit more speed, a little less forgiving. This has a 7-inch brace height, a little bit less speed, a little more forgiving. This is a 344 IBO. Weight is the same, 3.9 pounds. The axle to axle similar, but it's 32.3 inches. So roughly 32.25, a little over that. So a little bit shorter than the other ones. And again, this has a rotating mod, and all of these have 80% let off, 80% adjustable let off. And then here's the brand new one that just hit the market just now, basically. And this is a really interesting bow. It's the Thresher X. Okay, and it too has this this flexible riser, or this flexible cable guard, as do, actually all of them do except for the Mako, this flexible cable guard here. And this one it's axle to axle. Maybe you can tell there, it's a lot shorter. Okay, the axle to axle is 30 inches. Actually, it's a little bit under 30 inches, 29 point something, but basically 30 inches. The IBO on this, you got to be careful in how you compare it. It's 328, and maybe you go, well, that's not very fast at all. But it only goes up to 28 inches of draw and only 60 pounds max. So the IBO is 328, and that's 28 inches at 60 pounds. If you were to compute that on out, you can do so. Man, it's really fast. It's similar to the Mako in terms of its actual IBO speed. If we were to use the 30 inches and the 70 pounds. Its weight, it's really light, it's 3.68 pounds. And it's interesting when you note stuff like that. The other ones are like 3.9 pounds, but you really feel the difference, 3.68. I mean, it's so close, but it's funny how you can feel the difference. The brace height on this is 6.2 roughly, 6.1875, I believe exactly. So it's a good balance of speed and forgiveness. And the interesting thing about this is the weight can adjust from like 30 pounds all the way to 60 pounds, and the length can adjust 23 inches to 28 inches. So this can be for a less strong person. I don't want to necessarily say a woman or a younger person, but somebody that doesn't want as much draw length, or doesn't have as much draw length, doesn't want as much draw weight. They can go all the way down to 30 pounds with it, and a short draw length all the way down to 23 inches, or you can ramp it all up and use it for any kind of a hunt at 60 pounds with a 28-inch draw length. That's the max. So really interesting bow that it generates that kind of speed in a tight little package. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go take a shot with each one, and you're actually going to see the first shots I take with it, because I want you to see like my initial reaction to each one, my real reaction. Then I'm going to be putting them through a chronograph and see how they do through the chronograph. And but I do want to note another few things about them, just in terms of the construction and the tightness of the specs. Man, these have a really nice finish. Like I said earlier, they come out with some really cool colors for this year. But if you look at the finish, like it's pretty impressive, okay? And I've heard it endures pretty well. The grip is the same on all of them, and I really like the grip. It's a good balance of being thin, but then also with these side plates, they have a little bit of oomph to them. So you got a little bit of something you can grip there. You've heard me complain about Bowtech has that cut out little area there, which I've filled with a custom grip made by Black Claw. I really love those. But this just comes with that, already like that. And they all come with gas strings. So they use like a really high quality string. So they come with a custom string already there. They each have a different cam, and that's what generates the different speeds based on the different sizes and everything. And we're gonna see which one really stands out. What I've decided to do is, for comparison's sake, I'm shooting the PSE Evoke 35. It's a great bow. This is set up at 60 pounds, 27-inch draw. So this is going to be kind of my baseline of comparison. So then when I shoot the various Expedition bows, I can kind of see how they compare to this. You might have seen my bow battle for 2019 where this, actually the PSE Evoke tested really well. I mean, these Evoke cams are really nice. So I'm going to be shooting for all of these my standard arrow that I've been using, the Bishop Archery FOC King arrow. Like I always say, you got to be careful if you're writing that out, okay, because it doesn't read quite well. But these are like incredible arrows, and this total arrow weight here is 455 grains. So let's see how it goes. I'm going to see for the feel, the draw, the anchor point, how it lets down, and then the release as well. And then I'm going to shoot him through the chronograph so we can see how that goes. Yeah, that's just a nice draw. It's got a little bit of a hump to it, but kind of everything has a little bit of a hump to it. But it has a little bit of a hump, but it's nice. It's got a really nice back wall to it. It holds well on target. I like the thin grip of this PSE. It's good just to feel it. I remember liking it before. Let's see how it lets down. Yeah, it's not too touchy. Yeah, but it's also not like hard to let down. It's actually really easy to control. Okay, now let's see how it shoots. Yeah, nice. You get a little bit of vibration, but that's without a stabilizer, without really anything on it. Actually, it's a really good shooting bow. So just reminds me how much I like this bow. Okay, I just shot this through the chronograph and it was 241. So the PSE draws pretty nicely, got a little bit of a hump in there. Not the smoothest bow that I've shot, but it's pretty smooth, holds well, anchors well, releases well, and I got 241 speed out of it. Okay, now we're going to go with the Mako X. So we're going with the speed bow. I'm excited to see how this does. I want to see what this draw is like to generate this kind of speed. Wow. That's actually really nice. Let me do that again. Ooh, it holds really nice. And yeah, it's not jumpy at all. I expect it to be a lot more jumpy. It gets a little difficult at the end, but it's very fluid. It's like super easy at first, and then it gets tougher, obviously, but it's a smooth tougher. It's not really a hump, so to speak. It just kind of goes right up into the back wall. And then you get that 80% let off, which is really nice. It holds rock solid. Ooh, that was me. It holds rock solid, not jumpy. Let me test. No, it's not jumpy, but you do have to keep pressure on it, which is a good thing. Let's see how it releases. Kind of a bit of vibration, a bit of twang. It feels really quiet. Man, I like that. I'm surprised it drew that well for this kind of speed. Now let's see actually what kind of speed we're getting. Okay, so that was 262. So you get a total of 20 extra feet per second compared to the PSE. It's a smoother draw, but it's definitely a stiffer draw toward the end there. Smoother, but stiffer, 20 feet per second faster. That's pretty nice. Okay, now I'm going with the Mountaineer. And let's see what the Mountaineer does here. So this is the Mountaineer X. Again, the IBO is 340. So it's a little bit more than the PSE Evoke. Let's see how it feels, and let's see how it draws. It has a full 7 inches of brace height, which is nice. Oh yeah. It's interesting, the cam feels really similar in its smoothness, super smooth. Wow, it just goes right into the back wall. Not as stiff of a pull as it was with the Mako X. Definitely an easier pull, and hence the speed difference. And you got the 7 inches of brace height. Now let's see how it feels in the shot. Great back wall, all that's the same. Shoots really nicely. I'd say just in quick comparison, a little less vibration, than I felt with the Mako X, but both of them were in the very good category. This is just a little bit better. Let's see the speed. Okay, the speed on the Mountaineer here, the Mountaineer X, was 247. So remember the PSE was 242. This is 247. Again, this is smoother draw, actually much smoother than the PSE. A little bit stiffer than the PSE, and that's what generates that speed, but it was definitely smoother, just a little bit stiffer and a little bit less vibration. Okay, now I'm going to test the Excursion 7. Let's see how this feels. Yeah, these all feel very similar. I really like these cams. Very smooth. They get increasingly difficult to a point, and then it goes into a nice wall. But there's just no hump like with the PSE. And when I was showing the PSE, I said, well, what doesn't have a hump? Well, these don't have a hump. This is like kind of like the Bowtech SR6 and being really smooth. Great back wall. Same, you got a little bit of room. It's not jumpy, but it does force you to hold back. It's not going to go forward, but you can feel a little looseness. That's actually good. That keeps you from letting down. You want to be able to keep some pressure on it. Make sure you're at full draw. Let's see how it feels. Yeah, that's nice. It actually, the shot feels very similar to the Mountaineer X. Just a little bit of vibration to be expected, again, with the bare bow. So the IBO on this, again, is 344, a little bit more than the Mountaineer X, but the actual shot was 245. So, and again, that's at 27 inches. That's what I'm comparing here. I'm not expecting the full IBO, but it was a little bit less, 2 feet per second slower than the Mountaineer X. Not sure why that is. Maybe it's just something I did, but I did it a few times, and it consistently came in there. Still very close. Nice bow. Okay, this is the one that I was really eager to test out. This is the Thresher X. Okay, let's see how it feels. It's really similar to the Mako X. Maybe I don't want to say, it seems a little bit easier than the Mako X. The Mako X was easy too, but it's actually really similar to that. A little bit of a stiffer feel than the previous two that I've shot, but still very smooth. All of them have the same degree of smoothness, which is nice. Great back wall. Let's see that, testing that. This is a little more jumpy than the other ones, just slightly. Still nice. That was pretty dead in hand. For the light weight that it is, that shot surprisingly, little vibration, showed surprisingly little vibration. It felt similar to the last one, maybe a little bit less vibration than the Mountaineer and the Excursion. Yeah, that's nice. That's a cool little package right there. I'm curious to see the speed on this. So the speed of the Thresher X came in at 252. So noticeably faster than the Excursion 7 and then the Mountaineer X, noticeably faster. About 8 feet per second faster, just slightly slower than the Mako. The Mako, I think, was like 256, and this is like 252. So pretty impressive bow, especially for the weight. And I shot the Mako a couple more times, and I'm really, just to be really honest, just for me, not a big fan of the 5-inch brace height. I could feel that, you could even see, I could feel it nick my wrist, and I don't usually nick my wrist. So I know I could fix that. I know that's ultimately my fault, but none of the other ones nick my wrist, and that one does. So it is what it is. This one has close to the same speed. It's quite a bit lighter, more maneuverable with the short axle to axle. But again, that's not for everybody. The Mako comes a little bit longer. That's got a full 33-inch axle to axle. So this was really a cool experience shooting these expeditions for the first time. I gotta admit, I was more impressed than I thought I would be. The smoothness of the cams on all of them was really, it was exceptional. The speed they generate, exceptional. The lightweight, the finish, the grip, the feel, I just liked a lot about them. Now, for me, and I'm shooting them again, 27 inches of draw. This was 60 pounds. I know they vary, every bow varies at different draw lengths. I mean, the cams are different at different draw lengths. So sometimes at a shorter draw length, the bow can feel great, and then it feels terrible at a greater draw length, and vice versa. I've seen that in a number of bows. So at 27 inches, that's all I can comment, and in terms of my likes. But if I'm to rank these, okay, and I ranked them, okay, if I'm to rank them, here's how I ranked them. Okay, I don't know if you can see it here, but the winner for me was the new Thresher X. Man, the size of it, the weight of it, the maneuverability, the look, the feel, the balance, the smoothness, and the speed it generated, man, that's a winner right there. And then the next one, the next two were very close, actually. But I put the Mountaineer X as the one that I liked a little bit more. It generated a little bit more speed. And again, that could be just, you know, the way that you know, it's been set up or something like that. I mean, it could be, you know, any little thing. It wasn't that much of a difference. But I like this one a little bit more than the Excursion 7. And so that was this one. This one to me came in a close, it's really just after second, a close third, close to second. All of them look really nice. And then, not trying to say anything negative about it, but for me, the Mako was not my favorite. I love the speed of it, and that was fantastic. The 5 inch of the brace height was just not my favorite. Okay, I'm not used to it. Maybe I would get used to it, but even without a sleeve, if I'm having a little bit of contact issues, even with my form, then I might have problems with a baggy sleeve or a rain jacket on or something like that. So that wasn't really my cup of tea. Though for a speedbow to be that smooth was pretty impressive. Okay, now here's the amazing thing. I rank these without any concept of how much each one costs. Okay, I just ranked them based on me and how they feel. And the funny thing is, they're like in reverse order of price, the ones I like the most. Okay, so the one that's the least expensive is the new Thresher. This thing it sells for $6.99. So, I mean, this is $6.99. Now, I know $6.99 isn't cheap, but compared to a lot of bows for this speed and this look and this feel and this shot, man, that is like a deal. I'm thinking they're going to be cranking out quite a few of these out of the market. That's worth looking at. $6.99. And then after that, the one I liked second was the second least expensive. Okay, the Mountaineer X was $849, so a little bit of a jump there, $849. And then you go up to the XPEDITION X, and that one was $999. So this one gets a little bit more expensive, $999. And then when you go to the Mako, this one is their top tier. This is the $10.99. So all of them still relatively good prices compared to other stuff on the market. And I'm sure for each person, there's, you know, a one that's going to match you. For me, it's just kind of cool that the least expensive was the one I liked the most. So I hope that helps. I hope you can go to a local shop and check these bows out. Maybe check out this archery shop that I'm in. What great guys here. Thresher X Archery in Humboldt, Iowa. And give a look and do some research on the XPEDITION if you're looking for a new bow. And keep an eye out in early November when some new ones hit the market as well.